Paul McGuire Grimes, ABC, Minneapolis. Imelda Jonathan, it is an absolute honor getting to talk to both of you today. You're such legends of the stage and screen. So thank you for the time today. I'm really loving the season of The Crown. So thank you for that too.
Thank you. Thank you. You
Yeah,
realize
now,
I'm going to spend most of this interview looking at your DVD labels to see if you've got any of my films there.
Okay, so I have a James Bond box set up there.
Okay.
So you're there.
Trust
and
you.
Imelda, I've got this little gypsy right here.
Oh, look at that.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh my God, thank you. That's amazing. Thank you. Now, Imelda, I want to start with you. Did you talk to Claire Foy or Olivia Colman to see kind of what they thought of Elizabeth, and so there was a little bit of a synergy between the three of you, or does that not really matter?
It doesn't. I think, we've all gone back to the originals. Because otherwise I feel there's a sort of dilution happening. I don't even know if that's a word. No, I had to go back to the Queen. I'd, of course, watched them all, loved them, and then thought, right, and I have to put that aside. Same as watching Patti LuPone and Angela Lansbury. You put that aside and get on with the show. So, and you've got a double thing. I mean, you go back to the Queen and study her and do all that research, knowing that you're riding the wave that the previous casts have created. And that sort of does some of the work for us. But equally, you have to match the work that they've done.
And it's the nature of the whole show that every 2 seasons, a new cast will come in and it'll be their take on the Queen and the royal family.
It's one of the things I love about the show is just having these different generations of actors bring themselves to the roles too and what they do. And it's a real treat to get that kind of whole picture of who the royals were. Now, Jonathan, you've played Juan Perón, Pope Francis, and now Prince Philip, all 3 really massive public figures. Are there similarities between them and what it means to be a good leader?
No.
Oh.
No similarities. No, they were very, very different people. No. I mean, a dictator, a benevolent pope, and a prince that very few people really know what he's like. He's even though I've lived with him for 75 years, all my life, he still remains something of an enigma. And I think that was the joy in discovering him and bringing that side of him to the screen. But no, they're very different.
Fast.
Only Perron sang. That's the shame.
Oh my God. Okay, so on that, not the singing topic, but just the mystery of them. Imelda, how did you view Queen Elizabeth beforehand? Did you kind of come away with a different light once you kind of stepped into her shoes of what this world is and what she went through?
Oh, undoubtedly. I think very differently now. In a way, I hadn't thought that much about her before. But I so admire her stoicism, her sense of duty, the promise that she kept, her unfailing sense of making sure that every day she did her job, whatever it took and whatever was going on around her, tried to maintain an equilibrium, and discovering how important her faith was to her, and that she got great strength from that, took great strength from that, and she is an enigma, and I think it's difficult to play it. Here we are trying to give someone a private life that we only know publicly. And you don't want to be a Jekyll and Hyde. You don't want to be someone completely different behind closed doors. It has to have the same, the person in front has to be the same, and yet it has to have, blood, red or blue, flowing through.
Oh my God, I love that description. I got the rap. I wish to keep talking to both of you. This has been a real treat. So thank you for the time and thank you for coming to The Crown. I appreciate it.
That's great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul McGuire Grimes, ABC, Minneapolis. Lesley, it is so great talking today. I'm such a big fan of The Crown. So this is a real treat getting to talk to you. So thank you for the time today.
Not at all. Hello.
Hello. Yeah. Now I'm curious, did you talk to Vanessa Kirby or Helena Bonham Carter so there was any sort of like synergy between the 3 of you and how you brought Margaret to the show?
No, there wasn't, which sounds like a cold, not very friendly sort of answer, because I do know them both a little bit, and I've met them on social occasions. But and I hope that when the season 6 is all done and dusted and everything's over, we can get together and have, a three Margarets night out. And I hasten to add that that's nothing to do with the fact that I wasn't in absolute awe of what they did with their Margarets. I mean, fantastic, and very proud to take on the baton from both of them. But I don't think it would have been that useful to talk to Helena about, how she held the cigarette or what she did, because then you're just kind of copying. And I had to make Margaret my Margaret,
Right.
That's what I'm employed to do. So it was, and I'm sure it was the same for both of them. The most useful thing is just to look at the real Margaret and look at her life and take it all in, and then try to sort of, make a nice cocktail of it, and it comes out your version of it,
Right. I love hearing that. And the cocktail metaphor is great, just with her.
Oh,
I was
yes,
kind of curious
that's
about that.
good. See what I did there?
Yeah. One of the things I love about the show is just that you have different actors playing these real people, and then to see what the specific actor brings to these roles is always really just so interesting to get that kind of full life picture. I'm curious, how much did you know about Margaret before stepping into this, before even watching the other seasons, and did your opinion about her maybe change after stepping into her life?
Well, of course, I didn't know much about her, although I grew up with her. I mean, she was 25 plus years older than me. So I kind of looked up to her as this kind of glamorous woman, who was just always looked so fabulous, and all of that as a young girl. But, I'm playing her now at a time of her life when she was quite lonely, and she was having to live with the consequences with a lot of the conditions that had been imposed on her as a young woman, and there's a certain amount of sadness to her. So that's what I had to do, and through the wonderful writing of Peter Morgan and the stories and the scenes that he's given me to play as her, I've of course grown very fond of her. I mean, because that kind of sadness is very touching, especially when it's somebody of my age, going through that. And I have to say, I love the fact that she was such a spicy woman. She was very, very funny, and I mean, she could be brutally honest, and she could really cut you dead if she wanted to. But there was something so full of life and twinkly, and wanted to seize life. And we have some lovely scenes where you see her just really letting her hair down,
Yeah, I kind of love that she's kind of like the wild sister.
tonic.
Yeah. Now, I'm curious, so many of us in America just love The Crown because we have a different relationship with the monarchy and the Queen than maybe the Brits do. Have you heard a different relationship that the Brits have with this show versus us here in America?
Well, I suppose because we've taken the royal family and all of the pageantry and all of the ceremony that goes with that, we've taken that for granted. We've grown up with it. So the changing of the guard is just like, oh yeah, they're changing the guard, oh yeah, there's another kind of amazing procession with all these horses and everyone's dressed up. And it's not a surprise for us. But I can understand that for people that don't have that it's kind of, there's something quite awesome about it. And it's so, it's always all of those events and those performances, as it were, that they do are always carried off so meticulously without fault. So I get the kind of, the wow factor of the royal family.
Right.
I really do. We're just a little more complacent about it because we live with it. It's on our doorstep.
Oh my God, I got the wrap. It was a treat talking to you. I also
Oh,
love Phantom Thread. You were brilliant in that little masterpiece. So thank you
thank
for that
you.
too.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.